What if I told you that your struggles with blood flow and intimacy after 60 may have nothing to do with age, and everything to do with one small mistake you're making before bed? Yes, I know that sounds bold, but after more than 3 decades working with men in their 60s, 70s, and even 80s, I've seen a simple truth that most doctors overlook. Your body hasn't given up. It's simply waiting for the right support. And the most powerful support? It might just be sitting in your kitchen cupboard. My name is Dr. James. I'm a men's health specialist with over 30 years of clinical experience helping aging men rediscover energy, connection, and confidence. And I want to share something with you today that's both ancient and revolutionary. You've probably heard that olive oil is good for you, but almost no one is talking about how to use it specifically at night in a way that naturally helps unclog blood vessels, improve circulation, and gently reignite the fire in your most intimate moments. This isn't about hope. It's about habit, and tonight could be the start of a whole new chapter. So stay with me, because in just a moment I'll show you exactly how this one simple step can help you feel stronger, closer, and more alive than you have in years. Before we dive in, if you haven't already, go ahead and tap that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. That way you won't miss any of the powerful health insights I create specifically for men over 60. And if this message speaks to you, just type 1 in the comments. If not, type 0. Your feedback helps me make this content even better for you. Before we dive in, if you haven't already, go ahead and tap that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. That way you won't miss any of the powerful health insights I create specifically for men over 60. And if this message speaks to you, just type 1 in the comments. If not, type 0. Your feedback helps me make this content even better for you. All right, now let's get into it. To truly understand why this simple olive oil ritual can change everything, we first need to look at what's quietly happening inside your body after 60, especially when it comes to blood flow. Because the truth is, many of the challenges you've been feeling, lower energy, colder hands and feet, even a decline in intimacy, aren't just part of getting older. They're symptoms of something deeper, a gradual slowdown in circulation. And once you understand what's behind that slowdown, you'll see why this natural nightly habit can be such a game changer. 1. The silent slowdown. Why circulation declines after 60. When I first started practicing medicine, I noticed something most textbooks didn't teach. Men in their 60s and beyond would sit in my office not because they were sick, but because they felt like they were slowly fading. They couldn't always put it into words. It was a quiet shift. Less energy, less warmth in their hands and feet, a loss of drive, not just in the bedroom, but in life. What I came to realize is that behind so many of these symptoms was one common thread: circulation. You see, as we age, our blood vessels begin to stiffen. The smooth, flexible highways that once delivered oxygen and nutrients so freely begin to narrow. It doesn't happen overnight. It's slow, almost invisible. And yet it affects everything: your focus, your sleep, your ability to connect emotionally and physically. This isn't your fault, and it's not something you just have to accept. The good news is your body still remembers how to function at its best. It just needs the right nudge. That's where the nightly olive oil ritual begins to make sense. But don't just take my word for it. In the next section, I'll explain why something as ordinary as olive oil holds such extraordinary power, and why the timing of when you take it matters more than you think. If you're still here and this message is resonating with you, go ahead and type the number 1 in the comments. I'd love to know you're still with me. Now let's keep going and dive into the next key insight. 2. Why olive oil? Nature's forgotten elixir. I still remember the first time an elderly patient told me his grandfather used to sip a spoonful of olive oil before bed. Back then, I smiled politely. It sounded more like folklore than medicine. But after decades of watching men search for solutions in pills, powders, and procedures, I started paying closer attention to the habits that actually worked. And olive oil kept showing up. What makes it so powerful? It's not just fat, it's healing fat. Rich in natural compounds like polyphenols and oleic acid, olive oil gently reduces inflammation and supports the lining of your blood vessels. This matters especially after 60 when your arteries become less flexible and blood flow slows down. That stiffness doesn't just affect your heart, it reaches your muscles, your mind, and yes, even your most intimate moments. But what struck me most was how natural it is. No side effects, no chemicals, just something the body recognizes and knows how to use. That's the beauty of real food. It works with your body, not against it. And when taken at the right time, specifically before bed, it aligns with the body's natural repair cycles. It's almost as if nature knew what we'd need long before we knew how to ask for it. Now, here's where it gets even more interesting. It turns out that how you take olive oil makes a big difference. In fact, most people do it wrong and miss out on nearly all the benefits. Let me show you exactly how to do it right. 3. The 3-part bedtime ritual that works while you sleep. By now, you might be wondering, if olive oil is so powerful, why aren't more people talking about how to actually use it for better circulation and intimacy? The truth is, most people don't realize that the way you consume olive oil determines whether it becomes a healing tool or just another ingredient in your kitchen. I've spent years refining this bedtime ritual with my patients, and I've seen remarkable results. Men who had nearly given up on intimacy were suddenly reconnecting with their partners, not overnight, but gradually and in a way that felt natural. There's no magic here, just real practical steps that align with how your body works best. It starts with choosing the right kind of olive oil. And I can't stress this enough, not all olive oils are created equal. You want extra virgin, cold-pressed, preferably organic. Why? Because that's where the highest concentration of antioxidants and heart-healthy fats live. Avoid light or refined olive oils. They've been stripped of the very compounds your body needs. Once you've got the right oil, the next step is dosage. Through trial and error with my patients, I've found that 1 tablespoon is the sweet spot. Not too much, not too little. It's just enough to activate your body's natural repair mechanisms without overwhelming your digestion. The beauty of doing this before bed is that your body enters its most restorative state while you sleep. Hormones are balancing, tissues are healing, and blood vessels are relaxing. That's the perfect time to deliver these nutrients. But there's one more step that often gets overlooked, and this is where the real shift happens. Pair that tablespoon with a small squeeze of lemon juice or a tiny pinch of black pepper. This may sound unusual, but there's a reason. Lemon supports liver function and helps the oil process more efficiently. Black pepper, on the other hand, contains a compound called piperine that enhances nutrient absorption. Think of them as activators, unlocking the full potential of olive oil in your system. Here's what I recommend to my patients. Keep your olive oil and lemon right next to your toothbrush. That way, the ritual becomes part of your bedtime routine, something you do without thinking, just like brushing your teeth. Swallow it slowly. Let it coat your mouth and throat. Don't chase it down with water. Give it a moment to settle. This small act of presence is part of the healing. And I'll tell you something personal. I do this myself every night. Not just because I believe in the science, but because I've felt the difference. At 64, I have more energy in the morning, fewer aches, and a deeper connection with my wife than I did 10 years ago. That didn't come from a prescription. It came from consistency, from listening to my body, and from honoring what it truly needs. Now, some men feel the benefits in a matter of days. Others take a few weeks. That's normal. What matters is that you give your body the chance to respond gently, naturally, and without forcing anything. And remember, this ritual is just one piece of the puzzle, but it's a powerful start, because when you restore circulation, you don't just feel better physically, you start to feel more alive, more present, more in tune with yourself and the people you love. But we're not done yet, because once your body begins to respond, the next step is understanding why this works so well, what's happening behind the scenes in your blood vessels and hormones, and how something as simple as olive oil could compete with the strongest modern treatments. That's where the real story begins, and I can't wait to show you. If you're still watching and finding these insights valuable, type the number 1 in the comments to let me know you're here and engaged. Let's keep moving forward now with point number 4. 4. What to expect: the journey back to vitality. One of the first things my patients ask me when they start this olive oil bedtime ritual is, how will I know it's working? I always smile at that question because when your body begins to restore its natural rhythm, the signs, though subtle at first, become unmistakable. You might notice it one morning when your hands and feet don't feel as cold as they used to, or when you wake up with just a little more energy, a clearer head, and less of that heaviness in your limbs. These aren't dramatic changes, but they are meaningful. They're proof that something inside you is reawakening. Over time, you may feel more connected, not only to your body, but to your partner. Men have told me they feel more present in conversations, more confident during intimacy, and more emotionally available in ways they hadn't felt in years. That's because good circulation isn't just about blood flow. It's about returning oxygen to the brain, hormones to balance, and vitality to your entire system. And the beautiful part? It doesn't feel forced. You're not pushing your body to perform, it's responding naturally. That's what makes this journey different. It's not about chasing youth, it's about honoring your age while reclaiming the energy that's still within you. But here's the part most men never hear. All of this isn't just anecdotal. There's real science behind how and why olive oil works this way. And once you see the studies, the biology, and the research, it's going to make even more sense and might just change how you see aging forever. 5. The science backs it up. I've always believed in listening to the body first, but as a doctor, I also rely on evidence. And when I started to look more closely at what was happening in men who used olive oil consistently, the science didn't just support their results, it explained them. Studies have shown that extra virgin olive oil can improve something called endothelial function. That's a fancy term for how well your blood vessels expand and contract, which directly impacts how blood moves through your body. When your endothelium is healthy, your circulation improves. And when circulation improves, you begin to feel it everywhere, from sharper thinking to more responsive intimacy. One study out of Italy found that men who consumed olive oil regularly had better hormone balance and fewer signs of vascular aging. Another showed that the polyphenols in olive oil reduce oxidative stress, the kind of damage that slowly wears down your arteries over time. These aren't fringe theories. This is respected, peer-reviewed science confirming what many men have already discovered for themselves. But what struck me most isn't just the data. It's the feeling in the room when a man realizes he's not stuck, that his body is still capable of changing, healing, and even thriving. That's the power of aligning with something your body already understands, something as natural and ancient as olive oil. Now, you might be wondering, is this really enough? Or are there other simple habits that, when added to this ritual, can amplify the results even more? The answer is yes, and the next step may surprise you. 6. Real stories from men over 60. Over the years, I've heard hundreds of stories from men who tried this simple bedtime ritual. Some were skeptical, others quietly hopeful, but nearly all of them were surprised by what happened next, not just in their bodies, but in their lives. Frank, a 68-year-old retired teacher from Florida, came to me after feeling disconnected for years. He wasn't sleeping well, he felt drained most days, and the spark in his relationship had faded. 2 weeks after starting the olive oil routine, he called and said, "Doc, I don't know if it's just in my head, but I feel awake again." It wasn't just his energy that returned. His confidence came back. His presence in the moment came back. That's what real vitality looks like. Then there was George, 72, from Michigan. He had been dealing with high blood pressure and circulation issues that affected everything, from his mobility to his marriage. He didn't want another medication. He just wanted to feel like himself again. Slowly, things changed. His hands stopped going numb in the mornings. He started walking further, and one day he told me something I'll never forget. "I feel useful again." These aren't extraordinary men. They're just men who decided to take one small, consistent step. And in doing so, they unlocked something that had been waiting inside them all along. But even with stories like these, many men still have doubts. They wonder if it's too late or if something so natural could really work. That's why next we're going to answer the most common questions, clearly, honestly, and from one man to another. 7. Common questions answered. When I talk to men about starting this olive oil ritual, I hear a lot of the same questions. Honest, practical concerns that come from a place of wanting to do things right. I understand that. At this stage of life, we're not looking for trends or gimmicks. We want what works, and we want it to feel right. The first question is always, can I take it with food? And while you can, I always suggest taking it on an empty stomach before bed. That's when your body is in repair mode, your blood vessels are relaxing, your hormones are rebalancing, and your system is ready to absorb what it needs most. Taking it this way makes a real difference. Next, men ask, are there any side effects? Olive oil is incredibly gentle. It's been used for centuries, and unless you're taking excessive amounts, it's very safe. 1 tablespoon is all you need. Too much can cause minor digestive discomfort, but that's rare and easy to avoid. And of course, will it interact with my medications? For most men, the answer is no. Olive oil is food, not a drug, but if you're on blood thinners or have specific medical conditions, it's always wise to talk with your doctor. The goal here isn't to replace your care, it's to enhance it in a natural, restorative way. Still, some men wonder if it's too late to start. Others ask if there's a deeper reason this ritual affects not just the body, but the heart and mind. And that's where I want to take you next. Because the truth is, this journey goes far beyond circulation. A final word from Dr. James. If there's one thing I've learned after 3 decades of working with men over 60, it's this. Aging doesn't have to mean decline. It doesn't mean losing your strength, your presence, or your ability to love deeply and live fully. And sometimes all it takes to begin turning things around is something small, something simple, like a tablespoon of olive oil before bed. We've talked about how blood flow quietly slows down with age, and how that affects not just your physical health, but your confidence, your energy, and your relationships. You've seen how olive oil, when used with intention, can gently reopen those pathways and support your body in doing what it was always meant to do: heal, connect, and thrive. I've shared stories from real men, just like you, who took this seriously and saw real change. And I've walked you through the science that proves this isn't wishful thinking, it's biology in action. For me, this is personal. I'm not just sharing clinical advice. I use this ritual myself, because like you, I want to feel sharp, connected, and alive, not just for my patients, but for my family, for my wife, for the moments that still matter deeply. So if there's a voice inside you that's been asking for something different, something more natural and true, maybe this is it. Maybe tonight's the night you take that first quiet step. Your next chapter is still waiting. Let's help your body turn the page. If this spoke to you in any way, don't let it end here. Start tonight, 1 tablespoon, 1 small act of care for your body, and if you're ready to keep learning simple, powerful ways to reclaim your health and vitality, hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell. This is just the beginning. We've got so much more to explore together.